And then for me, the highlight this week, Batman Dark Age, Mark Russell, Mike Allred back together after Superman Space Age. Anyone else read this? Is it just me?
I just finished Space Age.
Okay, yeah, I saw that on your list. So here's the thing about this book. It really reinvents Bruce Wayne. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's very much about. It's almost kind of like a what if. What if Batman's origin story had gone slightly differently? And you still have the same basic conceit there. You have his parents die. You have, thank you. You have Alfred raises him, but it's almost like everything kind of goes wrong, right? In the fact that he knows who murdered his parents. And I kind of want to talk to Mark Russell about this because the big bad guys in this are a gang organization or called the False Face Society, which is a real Iroquois Native American secret society. And I'm curious if that was like the origin of it. But it's really fascinating. But the thing is, Superman Space Age felt like, to me at least, like a one-off, right? So I was really surprised to see this because I kind of felt like, oh, this is just going to be their one-off take on Batman. No. By the end of this, it ties to Space Age. And I don't want to spoil how, but I just want to say, if you read Space Age, Clay, remember when it was set and what it is referencing in the background from 1985. And what I'm wondering about is if Russell and Allred are going to do a bunch of these series and it's going to lead to a redoing of that story.
Oh, I hope so. I'm loving it.
That'd be amazing.
Space Age is great. I mean,
yeah, I loved it.
I mean, Ultimate Superman story beyond All-Star Superman.
I know. I totally agree. It's so good. Yeah. So anyway,
we'll just segue into you, Clay. Tell us about.
Yeah, I mean, there is probably a handful of Superman books that I can go. I'll go back and reread, or this brings something new to it, or and All-Star Superman will always be my top book. This one may be beating it out because it is doing original shit with Aldred art. And Russell, just like any of the books he's done up to now, have always had this great twist or a new angle. And Space Age does that. Like the final piece of what happens in this book is amazing. It's just like you just go, oh yeah, like he is the strongest. He is this, but he's also smart, and he can also, solve problems with his mind. And we don't get a lot of that from Superman. So it was just fascinating to see the angle on how he was able to do what he did in Space Age without really, spoiling the ending on it. But it's just a beautiful book too.
I feel like what Russell and what Morrison tap into in their respective stories is the Silver Age Superman. Yes. Because in those stories, he's more often using his brain than brawn, right? He's outsmarting people. And
there's more hope. There's always a sense of hope. Yeah. I don't know what it is in the later Superman years, but there's always just a darkness ahead. And Superman is he's bringing the light to everything. And he really does in Space Age.
Oh, it's so good.
Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Batman 146. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Jorge Jimenez. Tommy Moret on colors, letters by Clayton Cowell. In this issue, Source plans finally revealed in Dark Prisons by Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez as this story continues. The explosive story continues as Batman learns from an old mentor what Zor's plans are for Gotham City and the world. Can the Dark Knight escape from a prison designed by the ultimate version of himself? And what nefarious role does the Joker play in all this? This was a very exciting issue. I will say one thing that I wanted to go back and check on the art, because the first few pages to me look a little bit different than Jorge Jimenez's normal art, and I think that's quite a feat. He's the only artist credited on this story. So if this is all Jimenez's art, the fact that there's a flashback sequence kind of at the beginning of the issue that looks completely different, it looks reminiscent of the style of those stories that are being touched upon. That's incredible. I think that's a great work by Jimenez and the art team. Um, and the story continues. We have Batman trying to break out of that jail that he's trapped in. We have Surinor Batman in the failsafe suit, pretending to be Batman and really trying to convince everyone that he runs into that he is the regular Batman. Even to the point where Damien's been working with him, but I do wonder, is Damien working with the failsafe Surinor Batman a misdirect? Is he aware of what's going on and maybe he's just trying to get in there? We have, as you can see in the cover, we have a surprise return by Punchline. We also see Harley in the issue. So there's a lot being unraveled here, including some really neat surprises towards the end of the issue. I think one of the best things that Chip Zdarsky is doing is really convincing the reader that Surinor thinks that he's doing what's best. And I've heard before the quote, what makes Batman the most dangerous is that he thinks he's right. And I think that's what makes Surinor the most dangerous. So let's take a look at some of the preview art, as I mentioned. As you can see here, if this truly is all Jimenez's art, it's just very well done, where we get to kind of see a highlight of the Joker and some of the messed up things that he's done all throughout, including the first time that he saw the suit, the failsafe suit. So I'm interested to see how is this going to play out. And even, him talking to the warden that is the one that kind of showed him how to do all this. Yeah, really interesting stuff. In the preview pages, you don't even get to see Jimenez's art as it looks in the present, but it's very well done. We have a really interesting conversation between Surinor and then the way that he's acting towards the city, towards criminals. Of course, there's a breakout at Blackgate where Batman's being kept. So yeah, really interesting issue. Really enjoying this story. I never expected this is where we were gonna go. So I think this is really, really fun. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Birds of Prey number 8. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Javier Pena, letters by Clayton Cowles. In this issue, Vixen joins the team. So this is a little two-parter where the Birds of Prey were at this fashion show infiltrating. We'll get to that in beautiful illustration by Javier Pena. But in this issue, Marie McCabe, aka Vixen, has joined the Birds of Prey to help them get to the bottom of the mysterious villain hunting them through time. But first, Marie has a fashionable, dangerous problem that she needs help solving. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Never looked so good. There's definitely a lot of fashion-related stuff here. A lot of bearing of different characters in the comic, which is really fun. There's just a really fun bit with Barda, which is great. I also think that Kelly Thompson always finds a really nice balance of fun, action, and how to move the story forward, and definitely a lot of action in this issue. And of course, a lot of pieces kind of coming into place as Vixen begins to join the team, right? It also really sets up a fun thing towards the end of the issue for the next arc, which I think is where things are going to really, really kick off with this villain who's kind of hunting the Birds of Prey. Let's go take a look at some of the preview art. And as I mentioned in the previous issue, I think Javier Pena really, really fits into the style of this book. I really like him. If we can have, if we can have the original team from the first arc, I think Javier Pena really fits in well. The character designs, like I mentioned, there's a lot of fashion elements, a lot of bearing of bodies here, and even just the really fun dialogue here. I really like the designs of the kind of fashion show as well. Really fun to see the birds of prey kind of have to go undercover in this mission, uh, and of course, still trying to find their place in the team. Right. I think that's also really fun. But yeah, just really cool. Very, a little bit of a cheesecake that you can add to your comics, but I think that's always fun to do, especially in the way that it's done here, where it just really serves the story. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Blue Beetle number 8. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Josh Trujillo with artist Adrian Gutierrez, Will Quintana on colors, Lucas Gattoni on letters. In this issue, Jaime Reyes picks up the pieces in Palmera City. With Jaime back in Palmera City, he's faced with picking up the pieces from his battle with the Blood Scarab and the Scarab War. Also, he's coming back from the time heist with Booster Gold. Make sure to go back and read issue 7 for all that fun stuff. I think the first thing that really interested me in this issue was Jaime has to kind of reconcile the actions of what happened during the war, or during the Scarab War, right? His family and his friends are in disarray. People are leaving. People are thinking of moving on, and obviously, this all weighs heavily on Jaime. On top of his relationship with Kajira, and how that was left after the events of the last arc. Um, there's a lot of feelings and expressions that really come through in the art. We'll take a look at that in a second. But I think the team, once again, just bringing everything that they can. There's some really sad stuff eventually that happens in this issue, but I think also there's some really cool setup for things in the future. So, very excited to have the team moving the story forward once again after that great issue 7. That was a fun celebration of Keith Giffen. Um, but let's take a look at some of the preview art so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And as I've mentioned in the past, like the team of Gutierrez and Quintana really just nail the essence of what they built here. In Palmera City, the spaceship, the character designs, even just the pacing of the issues. I love this panel in the middle with Jaime as he kind of wakes up from a dream, as he's remembering. You can kind of see the panels from the past issue and the battle with the Blood Scarab. And then, as I mentioned, just the body language of the Blue Beetle, even when he's in his Blue Beetle form, all that sprinkled in with a little bit of humor, a little bit of feelings, a little bit of some really tough conversations, all that balanced really well. I think the team has found a really fun mix of the action and the intrigue of the sci-fi elements of Blue Beetle, but also what it really means to bring a family together and how to reconcile and kind of give us both sides of that story. So that's really really fun. Um, I'm really enjoying this series. One of my favorite ongoings at the time. I love that this comes out usually the same week as Birds of Prey. We have a review for that in the channel as well. That's a really nice one two punch combo. So if you have read this issue, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.